Hi everyone, and welcome back to Kicherra Creates. I am Kicherra-Chisolm, and I am a certified therapeutic art instructor and life coach. And I am here to give you guys another therapeutic art activity and tutorial. So today I want to focus on self-expressions and just focusing on color theory and things of that nature. So I've been feeling a little bit unmotivated and not as disciplined as I normally am lately. So I feel like I need to use some passionate, fiery colors to give me some energy and some motivation and all of that. So today's painting is going to be an abstract piece. Just allowing me to express myself freely, just go with the flow, let my emotions out, and allow the energy of the colors to brighten up my atmosphere, my mood, all of those positive things. So, I have not played around with my painter's tape in a while, so I did pull that out today. So, besides just your traditional paint and paintbrush, you will use some painter's tape if you want to follow along with me to create this lovely abstract expression piece that we are going to do. So since I want to use fiery colors today, we're basically just going to use red, yellow, white, and black. I do have a little bit of green on my paint palette. That way I can just deepen up my red some. But let's just go ahead and get started. So I always start with the background first, especially when I'm doing something like an abstract piece, something similar to this. So you know what? I'm actually going to mix up a darker red first. So I'm going to just move over some red paint away from the regular primary red, and I'm going to get some green, just a little bit, and use that to deepen this red. You don't want to add too much because it will turn into a burgundy tone. However, you can always lighten it up by adding more red to this color. So I want to do a gradation from red, darker red, fading into orange and yellow. And then I'm going to dry that off with the blow dryer and then use my painter's tape to have some fun. So that is basically going to be the process that we are going to use today. So let's go ahead and get started. All right, so typically I do my paintings, my background, I usually do my strokes up and down, but today I'm going to do them going left to right or side to side. So as you can see, I'm just throwing on some of this dark red shade onto the sides of the canvas. Make sure you get the sides, the corners, the top, all of those areas too. They need love also. And as you can see, this is going to be an abstract expression piece, focusing more so on the colors and the energy that they bring into your life. I need some energy. I've been not as motivated as usual, so we are going to do that with these fiery, energetic colors, with these reds and oranges and yellows. All right. So as you can see, I'm kind of just spreading out some of the paint on the sides. I'm not making it all to a certain point or anything like that. I'm literally just adding some of this red tone to the sides. And I'm going to do that same thing on this side. And if you need to mix up some more paint, you just want it to be close to the shade that you already used. It does not need to be perfect because we're going to be blending all of our other colors into this as well. So, literally doing the same thing, throwing down this red. And it looks like we're going to need quite a bit more red than I initially mixed up, but that is okay. That is all good. And see, I'm not being too picky or fancy or anything like that. I'm just putting the red paint on the sides and brushing it in towards the middle of the canvas. All right, I think that's good. We'll leave that just like that. maybe a little bit more up in here. All right, let me get some more red. Already out of red paint. All right, so I am going to brighten up this base red tone by adding some yellow into it. So I'm just gonna scoop over some of that red, some of the primary red, and add a little bit of yellow. You don't want to add too much yellow because it will turn it into an orange. This right here, I just want to make a brighter tone or a brighter shade of red. There we go. Perfect. So, and as you can see, I didn't even clean off this brush because we're going to be blending all of this into each other. So just kind of starting at the end. Let me put this down so I can hold this easel because it's going all over the place. So as you can see, I'm just kind of blending in some of that lighter red into the darker red that we used. And I started kind of in the middle of where I laid out that darker shade. So let me show you again. So I'm kind of starting in the middle of where I laid out that darker tone. And then you see how I'm crisscrossing the brush or moving it back and forth? That is exactly what we want. And I'm gonna kind of blend just a little bit of that into the middle. And I'm going to take just the primary brilliant yellow or primary yellow, whatever base yellow you have, and I'm going to throw some in the middle. As you can see, I have not cleaned off my brush, so this is already giving color variation and gradation, which is what I want, which is why I did not clean my brush off. All right, so in the middle, I'm gonna start blending it out, going towards those two red shades that we used. Yep, I'm already feeling the energy off of this. Beautiful. I think I want to add some more red onto the sides. So I'm just going to get some more of my base red and add a little bit of the green into it to deepen it up some more. And add another layer of this onto the sides. Don't forget the sides and the top of your canvas as well. And we'll start blending this out towards the middle. There we go. We just needed one more coat of that red. Same thing over here. Add some more of it on the sides. And I'm already running out of red paint again. Already. But it's okay. Perfect. So I'm going to do the same thing that I did on the other side and blend in this extra layer of the red that we did towards the middle. Don't forget the sides and the top of your canvas as well. I say that a million times. I always will because I remind my own self of that too. And I'm just checking this side. Sorry if I'm not all the way in the frame of the picture or the video. All right, so I'm still not going to clean my brush off. I'm just going to wipe off some of the excess paint. And I'm going to start in the middle again and work back and forth to blend all these beautiful shades together for our lovely background. And I'm excited about this piece. This piece is not going to take us too long. It's going to be a lot of fun, especially when we pull the tape out. So I want to brighten this up some more, so I'm going to add some more yellow in there. All right, perfect. So still haven't cleaned my brush off. I'm just gonna go right into the yellow and do the same thing that we did before with the yellow. Literally kind of throw it into the middle and then start to blend it out. I think I want to brighten it even some more, so I'm gonna get some more yellow. You see, I put my paint on my palette gradually so that I don't just run through my paint. But I always use a lot of yellow for some reason. So, all right, add some more yellow in the middle. And see, by not cleaning my brush off, it still has all those other tones in there. So it just helps with blending together. All right, let's blend this out. So the same thing, blend out towards the middle, going towards the red. And I'm going to clean off the excess water. I did not use any water. I just wiped off some of the extra paint off my brush. And I'm gonna do like I did earlier and do long strokes left and right to blend out this lovely background. And this is pretty. I'm liking this. See, I'm already getting so much energy from these bright, vivid, fiery colors. Colors, color, color. Color evokes so much emotion. It has a lot of power just behind color. All right, I'm just being a perfectionist like always, and I think I'm happy with this. I'm gonna leave it alone. So, what I love about acrylic paint in particular is that it does not take a long time for it to dry. I absolutely love that about acrylic paint. So, what we're going to do is I'm going to use my handy dandy blow dryer just to blow dry it for a minute or so, just to make sure that the background is completely dry before I put the painter's tape onto our painting. That way we don't pull up any areas of paint that we don't want to, especially since we just made this lovely blended fiery expressionist background. So like I said, acrylic paint does not take a long time to dry, so if you wanted to, you could probably wait 10 to 15 minutes and it would be completely dry. You can go ahead and just put your tape over top of it, but I don't want to just be rambling on for 10 or 15 minutes. So what we are going to do is get the blow dryer and blow dry it real fast. So thank you guys in advance for staying with me. I promise you're not going to want to miss this beautiful painting. So stick with me while I quickly blow dry this image or this painting. All right, I got my blow dryer. I keep it beside me, so I'm prepared for you guys. Let's blow dry this baby. right, you guys. Thank you so much for sticking with me. See, that didn't take too long. Wasn't too bad. And see, this is why I love acrylic, because it is dry. All the way dry. So we are ready for our painter's tape. All right. So like I said, I wanted something that was going to evoke passion and energy and all of that, which is why I chose to use these colors. So this therapeutic art technique is just about expressing my feelings and using colors to evoke certain energy and emotion and all of those beautiful things. So like I said, I wanted some passion, I wanted some fire, all of that good stuff. So I think I want to kind of mimic a kind of like an abstract fire feel to this piece. So I'm just going to grab my painter's tape and I'm going to make some random triangles intertwining together. All right, make sure you have some scissors. So I'm going to start with a larger one, semi in the center. I'm not trying to perfectly place it in the center. Like I keep referencing, this is an abstract piece that's all about self-expression. So don't worry about if it's perfect or not. And I dropped the scissors. Luckily, they did not fall on my foot. And I told you guys not to be OCD, but here I go being OCD. So I'm going to stop that. All right, so I'm just going to put some other random triangles overlapping these guys. And I'm not going to make them all the same height or anything like that. I'm just randomly making triangles. You do want to make sure that when you put your your painter's tape down, that it is smooth though onto the canvas. All right, and I'm just gonna keep adding some. And I'm just randomly placing some triangles. I'm not thinking about it too much. I just know I want some overlapping each other. So that is all that I'm doing. And just more so about the inside of the triangles, because we're not painting around them. We're going to paint in the inside of them. So as long as the inside comes to a nice point, you're good to go. Don't fuss about it too much. Put this one here. I do one coming off the side right here. There we go. Do another one coming off this side too. Like I said, I'm just randomly making triangles. Not overcomplicating it or anything like that. There we go, I like that better. And I love using painter tape. The funnest part is just removing all the tape and seeing what you get. Smooth out your tape as you go. I'm gonna do it this way. I'm just gonna make sure that they're nice and smooth. I think I'm just gonna do a random one up in here. Okay, I think that's good. I'm leaving it alone. I like that. I was thinking of putting one right here, but I kind of like that there's different variations. Yep, I'm gonna leave it alone. Said I was leaving it alone. I'm leaving it alone. So I'm putting down my scissors and my painter's tape. And now I'm going to get a flat brush. And it's just called a flat brush. I've got paint everywhere, all on the bottom of my paint palette, on my arm. It is what it is. So I'm just gonna get a 1-inch flat brush. It's called a flat brush because it has a straight line at the tip of it, so it's nice and flat. Excuse me, I need some water. And we are going to use some black paint. And see, I'm kind of dabbing into the black paint like this. That way the brush is fully saturated or loaded with the paint on both sides. Black paint and white paint are pretty thick. They're kind of opaque. So you wanna, sometimes you need to add a little bit of water to it to thin it out to get it to a nice smooth consistency. Now, I'm not gonna waste time trying to get perfect, smooth, thin lines or anything like that. I'm literally going to trace the edge of each one of these little triangles that we made with black. And I'm just going over this one again because I added a little bit of too much water to it. All right, so like I said, back to just tracing around where these triangles are, the inside of them with the black. That's it, nothing fancy. I'm just tracing around the edge of them with black. Oh, and you guys, I have to say, I forgot. Thank you guys so much for all your likes, shares, subscribes, all of the support that you guys have been sending me. It definitely helps to keep me motivated and encouraged to keep going. I appreciate you all. And thank you so much for your donations. I would not be able to keep this channel going and growing without you guys. So thank you. I appreciate you guys. And yes, all of my paintings are available for purchase. So, still just on the inside of all of these little triangles. I'm outlining with the black, which is why I use the painter's tape instead of gridding it out, using my ruler or my yardstick and gridding it out and doing all these little triangles and diamond shapes and then having to go right back over top of them and outline everything with the liner brush. That would have took a lot longer than doing it this way. And I'm not going to be overly picky or too precise because we're going to do some cross hatching or some kind of rustic techniques inside of these little triangle geometric sections that we created. Don't forget the little ones down at the bottom. They need love too. And still the same thing, just outlining each of these little triangles with the black. And see, this will probably take longer than doing all the shading. And now that I'm looking at it, I think I want to add even more yellow to this. So we'll do some cross hatching with the black and then we'll incorporate some yellow into it and some white at the end for some highlights. And see, I'm just following the line of where the tape is. And some of them, because they crisscross, will be triangles. Some of them will be diamonds. All of that is perfectly fine. That's exactly what I wanted. We're just expressing our creativity right now, having fun, going with the flow. Don't make it overly complicated. You'll be surprised at what a beautiful, creative, artistic piece you can create with just using some tape, some lines, and a painted background. And see, I'm not trying to be overly precise about if the lines are perfectly smooth or anything like that, which is why I just used my flat edge brush instead of like a liner brush. Alright, almost getting there with all of these little triangle sections. Yep, this is the last one. Perfect. Voila. So I'm going to switch to a smaller flat brush. And I'm only doing that because some of these areas are teeny tiny. Matter of fact, I'm even going to use a smaller one. If I can find one, maybe I need to use that one since that's the only one I can seem to find. Where is my brush? Found it. All right. So I'm going to use a smaller flat brush just since some of these little areas are really small. And what I'm doing, see, I'm just tapping into it the same way we did earlier. And I'm going to do random little lines coming off of these areas, and then I'm going to crisscross them. So random little lines coming off of both of the sides. I'm doing horizontal little strokes, and then I'm going over top of them and doing diagonal or vertical little lines over top of them. That's all I'm doing. So see little horizontal lines on one side, the same thing on the other side. Then I'm going to do vertical or diagonal lines right over top of those black lines that we just did. That is called cross hatching. We're just using lines to crisscross over top of each other. Now the small ones right here, I'm just going to add a few lines in them. I'm not going to try to cover up the whole area. Since they're so small, it will just fill in that whole little teeny tiny shape with black. So I'm going to do the same thing for all of them. Horizontal lines, then go over top of them with vertical or diagonal lines, however you want to articulate that. Oh, I'm having so much fun. All right, so horizontal lines, horizontal, and look how fast this is going. Horizontal lines, and then vertical lines, going right over top of them. Let me get some more water on this brush. There we go. There we go, there we go. So, and now I got too much water on my brush. There we go. So, horizontal lines. And see, I'm just doing quick strokes. I'm not making sure they're all perfectly smooth or the same length or anything like that. I'm legitimately just doing some horizontal lines coming off of each side and then crisscrossing vertical or diagonal lines right over top of that with the black. There we go. And we're going to do the same thing for all of these little sections. Horizontal lines with the black paint and crisscrossing over top of it. There we go. And this is something that you could do even with markers or color pencils. This is not something that has to solely be done with paint. And you can use different types of paint too. This would probably be pretty also with some watercolor paint. And I haven't played around with watercolor in a long time. I might do a therapeutic activity featuring some watercolor as well, especially since I have a whole bunch of watercolor paper, so maybe I should use it. And I am predominantly a painter, but I do want to start implementing other different mediums as well for you guys, because everyone does not prefer to paint, and I want everyone to be able to use these therapeutic art techniques. And today is just about expressing myself and using colors that resonate with how I feel to influence my energy. So since I was feeling kind of drowsy and not as motivated as usual, I picked these really bright, vivid colors to give me some energy. And can't you hear the energy? It's coming. All right, same thing still. Horizontal lines on both sides of these little sections, and then going right over top of those lines with vertical and diagonal little lines or strokes, however you want to describe that. As you see with the smaller ones, I'm kind of just doing some gritting on the inside of it. I'm not trying to go overboard. I don't want to just fill them all in with black. So these little ones, I'm just, same thing, horizontal lines, vertical lines. Horizontal lines, vertical lines. We're getting there, you guys. And believe it or not, we are basically done with this beautiful painting. Add some more horizontal. There we go. And down here, some horizontal lines and some vertical diagonal lines. Beautiful. All right, so I'm going to get some yellow paint again. Some more yellow paint. Just a little bit though, we don't need a lot. And let me use that same brush that I was, so I won't be looking for it like I just was. Make sure it's nice and clean since we just painted black with it. So, we're going to use our primary yellow. I'm going to add a little bit of red into it just to kind of deepen it some. You see how it gives us that tone? I'm going to add just a touch, so a little teeny tiny bit of white to this. Maybe a little bit more. There we go. Perfect. So see, I'm kind of wiping off some of that extra paint by twisting it or tapping into it on both sides like that. So in the middle, we're going to do that same thing, but instead of starting from the sides, we're going to start in the middle. So yes, you're going to go over some of the black that you did, but you still want to be able to see those layers underneath. So you don't want to cover up all the black, which is why, as you can see, I'm just adding little accents of the yellow in the middle. I'm not doing a lot. And look, I completely forgot about that little one down there. We'll let that one dry a little bit before we do the yellow in the middle. So I'm doing the same thing, but instead of focusing on the sides, I'm throwing some horizontal lines with the yellow in the middle and then crisscrossing over top of it with some vertical and diagonal lines. And we're going to do the same thing with the white as a finishing touch. And then we're going to take this lovely paint off, or excuse me, painter's tape off, and see what we get and if we want to add anything else or not. So I'm just adding lines and doing horizontal and vertical lines over top of that. I'm focusing the yellow towards the center of these areas though. Do not cover up all the black that you did. Painting is about layers, especially abstract painting. You do not want to cover up all your layers. All right. Yeah, I like that we did the yellow. That brightens it up some. And rule of thumb, paint does dry darker. So keep that in mind too when you're mixing your colors. And that's any kind of paint. That's not just with acrylic paint. Most paint has the tendency to dry darker. All right, I'm gonna take a quick step back. I want to add one right here too. So where was that brush? There we go. And I'm just going to use this brush. I'm not going to switch to the smaller one. And I'm just going to go ahead right into that with the yellow. That should be fine. Yep. Perfect. All right, I think I'm going to do a little bit more with the yellow in each one of these, just so it's a little bit brighter, more vivid. Remember, you don't want to cover up all those layers that you did. I'm just adding little accents of the yellow. I'm not going back and covering up everything that we just did. Yep, I'm glad I did another layer of the yellow. Brightened it up some more. Then we'll do our white, and then we'll take our paint off, our painter's tape off, and see what we created with this lovely abstract self-expression piece. And see, doesn't take too long. This guy right here, and back over this one. Perfect. Oh, this guy, I think I want to give a little bit more love with the yellow. All right, perfect. So for the white, I'm going to switch to a small liner brush, or you can use your round brush, whatever you have. And I'm going to add a little bit of water to that because, see, white paint is really thick. Kind of thin it out just a little bit. Just a little bit. And I'm just going to do that same thing. But as you can see, I'm only using a little teeny tiny bit of white in these areas. But I'm doing the same thing. If some of the yellow mixes into it, that is perfect. That is beautiful. Just let it go. Don't worry too much about it. Have fun. Play around. We're just expressing our creativity right now. And see, I'm just throwing some white areas down and crisscrossing over top of them in these areas. That's all that I'm doing. And this crisscrossing of lines, this is called cross-hatching. This is one of my favorite blending or shading techniques. So if you have been watching me for a while, I'm sure you've seen me do this with other painting tutorials. It will not be your last time seeing it either. I love this technique. It gives so much texture and energy to the painting. It just makes it really unique. You can actually do realistic artwork as well with this same cross-hatching technique. You can use it with pen, markers, any kind of creative medium that you want to. But I tend to utilize it for abstract paintings like this. All right, let's take this paint off, or this painter's tape off, and see what we get. This is the exciting part. If I can get the paint up, or the tape up. I don't know why I keep saying paint instead of painter's tape. Come on, paint. Come on, stop being difficult. There we go. Ooh. Pretty. that looks cool. I'm liking this. This is why I love to play around with painter's tape. You never know what you're going to get. Look at that. Look how cool that is. I'm liking that. But we're not going to just leave it like that. I'm going to go back with this larger brush that we started with and get some of the white paint and see how I'm kind of thinning it out. And I'm going to just do some random lines going in between these little areas. And see, I'm not making sure they're all smooth or that the paint is all thick or that the lines are all going the same way. I just feel like it needed another element. And I'm going to do some more cross hatching over top of these white areas as well with some of the yellow. I'm going to go back over it with some white too. Do some cross hatching with the white also in these areas. And see, I'm not being particular on how thin the lines are, anything like that. I'm legitimately going over top of these lines, crisscrossing randomly in the middle of all these lovely sections that we created with some of this white paint. See, crisscrossing over top of these lines, giving it texture. See how fast this is? Not taking long at all. And see how just adding this element, how it changed the picture so much. Look at there. And some of the areas where there's more negative space, I'm doing some white strokes that are a little bit thicker. All right. I'm going to use the same brush. Do the same thing with the yellow. And then I'll go back over there with the black. And then I think I'll leave it alone. And see, I'm not doing a whole bunch of the yellow either. I'm just kind of adding some accents of it. And I'm not going to use a lot of black at all for this, for these elements right here. And of course, I need more yellow paint. Trying to speed it up. I don't want to go longer than an hour with you guys. But I'm going to just mix the yellow paint in with what I already had going on and add some more, yeah. And see, I'm not focused on exactly where I'm laying the yellow, if they're all going in the same direction or anything like that. I'm just doing that same cross-hatching techniques that we did in each of these little geometric sections that we laid out with our painter's tape. So, and as you can see, some of the lines are thinner, some of them are thicker, bolder, however you want to articulate or decipher that. Trying to fill up some of this negative space. Lovely. Last but not least, we're going to do that same thing with the black. And then we're done. After that, I'm not doing anything else. I promise. And see, I'm not going to use a lot of the black either because we already have a good amount of the black going on with our sections that we already laid out. Ooh, this is pretty. I'm loving this. See what you can come up with when you just allow your creativity to flow. Just do what feels right. When I started this painting, all I knew was what colors I wanted the background to be. And I knew I wanted to use some tape. I didn't even know really how I wanted to lay out the tape. I just let it come to me while I was painting. And look what I created. Look what we did together. And you guys, make sure you share your recreations with me on my social media. And I am available for virtual paint parties as well. So if you want to schedule a virtual paint party with me or a group affirmation or manifestation party, then go ahead, email me. All my information is down below. My website, everything is down below. And if you would like to donate to my channel, you can find that link down below as well. And thank you guys so much. I appreciate all you guys' support. It means so much to me. I would not be able to do what I love every single day without all of you. So thank you. All right. Last finishing touches. I'm gonna do some black, more so coming off the top. There we go. And that's it. I'm done. I'm not doing anything else. All right. So this is what I created today. This is my artistic self-expression, therapeutic art creation. I hope you guys enjoyed creating with me today. I will see you guys next time. Have a great day. Bye.